still having my can. I'm going to have another smoke, I think. I think. Okay, next one. I forgot to say whether I'd slept with the last couple. I hadn't slept with the last one, hadn't slept with the one before, hadn't slept with the one before, or the one before. So the last 5, so far there's only been three people that I've actually had some sort of a sexual interaction with or kissed. Maybe the last 4 I had some sort of a drunken but like actually friends, like peck kiss situation with, but they're just good mates of mine. But this one I had good sex with, and in the same breath it kind of wasn't good. It's like as good as I allowed myself to have. But then one of the ones above I actually felt like charged up by and initiated with, and that's something I struggle with. Being way too passive. And this one got me to and I had the most experience with this person, but I'm still a bit like in the air about how I feel about it. I don't know. What color are they? Black? My favorite thing about them their kindness, their kind of youthful, romantic devotion. Their secret weapon, their capabilities in bed. And yeah, what I said a minute ago. They're like a person in a room that doesn't feel completely jaded. And yeah, I feel like by the end of the relationship, maybe I rubbed off on them. And in some ways, they're super jaded. But it hasn't turned them into like a kind of cold cunt. I don't know. Do I like, love, trust them? Find them attractive? I think I love them more than I think I like, love, and trust them, but in a way that doesn't feel stimulating, maybe. But they feel safe, but not boring in the same breath. They occupy an interesting kind of combination of emotions at once. Do I find them attractive? Yeah. But they're like as close to a sweaty caveman as I've gotten. But then I feel like that's what I brought out in them. I'm not sure I really clean a guy up. Ever. And in the same breath, I need to stop saying that too. Some of the guys on this list, what I love most about them is their cleanliness and their sharpness. And this person was cleanly, but really kind of 90s punk. Caveman-y as well. Kind of goth. I think if we did old couple, I would be annoyed. No, but would I be annoyed? I think I'd be rolling my eyes a lot. But I can see myself absolutely falling for this one when I was a teen. Even though we have the biggest age gap. But then I remember how I was as a teen, and I think maybe I would have hated this guy in school. But then his sweetness and his romantic side and his kind of split from the twattiness was attractive, but then that might just be because he was older when I met him. And I think from what he said, he was kind of like that when he was younger. But I can kind of imagine an idyllic sort of a setup in maybe, I was like 16 or 18. But it wouldn't have lasted long. Could I call them right now? No, they wouldn't answer and they wouldn't help. Rate a connection out of 100. Maybe like 68. Last interaction. It wasn't groundbreaking when I met them, but they pursued me and I wasn't against it. But then again, I'm kind of flirty, so maybe it was just we both responded. Last interaction, kind of awful, but not hysterical. It wasn't heartbreaking, it was just, it was frustrating. What scene are we? I think we're trekking through high grass and swamp, and we're sweaty. And we're really annoyed with each other. And I haven't really had that much surreal kind of imagining alternate versions, all that stuff. But I do think about this one. I think this one is the hardest go I've ever given it. Monogamy. I think this one knows exactly who I would pick over him or pick to cheat with. I think this is maybe the only one. But then, no, I don't know. I don't think I would cheat. But I can really, for some reason, see him doing it and all of that niceness being fake. And I can picture the exact, and they're always around, you can always see exactly who it would be. Can I do kids with them? I don't think I trust that. Some people you meet in life and they feel more like an amalgamation of other people's preferences that you're really close to, and you could do it with them, but it's almost like entertaining a weird kind of male manifestation of someone else's preferences that you know too well and you feel too close to. And then it's, I don't know how to better phrase it, but I think that one felt familiar, but it didn't feel me. Okay, next one. I did sleep with twice, but I didn't know well for long. So this is where I entertained hooking up with people. But I was typecast for the guy, and he definitely reminded me of a younger version of someone else. But they're kind of completely different as well. And in the same, they're kind of similar. And yet completely different. They looked sort of alike at one point. When I met the guy, he looked like another guy before I met him. What colour are they? Like a true denim blue, or like a rusty brick orange, or white. My favourite thing about them, I don't know them that well, so maybe how well they're doing. Even though they were kind of in the same common Gen Z traps of like ADHD and hipsterdom, there's something about that guy where it felt like he could never fall off. But he wasn't like, yeah, maybe like a white. He was like a classic white, but he wasn't a white knight. Kind of hard to describe. This one was the closest to like a... Oh... It felt kind of Scandinavian without the Skarsgardian, Mads Mikkelsen kind of grit. Scandinavian talk show. Their secret weapon. I think their shit would work on everyone. I think they were colourful and bright and light, and that made them a sort of contrast to everyone else. But they were still masculine. But they weren't childish. They were kind of shy. And a little slow. But they weren't grubby. Do I like, love, or trust them? I like them. I don't love them. And I don't trust them at all. But I think they were a perfect kind of two-night stand for me. But it was uncomplicated for me, for once. And I feel like I could text them. But it feels like texting a third cousin. Do I find them attractive? I do. But they're not that stimulating for me. Could I call them right now? I feel like I could call them right now. And actually, you know what? They might be able to help me. But I don't think they trust me. and they wouldn't like go out of their way. But it would be diplomatic. The connection out of 100, like a 57. First, last interaction. It existed in a bubble. And it felt like a split life moment. And I was proud of it. I was proud of that entanglement. I felt like I'd done a good job. Even though it wasn't perfect, there was something about it where it was just like, there was like a that's it kind of feeling. What elements the relationship and how surreal? This is like a club guy to me. This is like a Berlin club, and I'd nail a one-night stand with him. But it would be more like jazz bar than I wanted it to be. It wouldn't be like techno in the back. It'd be a little like looking at each other for too long. And I don't input them into fantasies, so it's not been a massively surreal one. Monogamy, I think it'd be stale if I dated this person. I couldn't do old couple with them, I couldn't do young couple with them, I could only do a period in my 20s or 30s with them. And then maybe if I knew them better, I could stretch it out, but it lacked chew, it lacked crunch. But it wasn't stodgy, and it wasn't like steamy. You didn't feel like you're cooking in. But then again, maybe it was all steamy, but like a light steam for too long. Like you're being steamed, like you're at the dry cleaners, being steamed and pressed. Could I do kids with them? I think this might be another example of I'd raise someone else's kids with them. This might be a guy that could step up, but I kind of can't picture him as a dad. Tough one. I don't know this one that well. Next one. Okay, what color are they? Oh, like an ultraviolet. Or like an indigo. Favorite thing about them? I think they bring out the best worst in me. And they're sneakily more present than I give them credit for. I think they labor for me how I labor for other people in the moment. And I'm a bit of an entertainer. Their secret weapon. They're definitely like a romantic, hearty fuckboy that you imagined at one point on when you're playing Sims, literally. Like a kind of a caricature teenage boyfriend with a lot of female friends. Do I like, love, trust them? I think I like them. No, maybe I don't like them. Somewhere in between with like and love. And sort of really trust and then don't trust at all. So kind of in limbo with everything. And I do find them attractive. But I'm also not sure what to do with that. It feels too... But then to change them would be wrong. It's like such a specific box where it's like, oh, you kind of want to leave that. You want to leave it in that slightly because he does that mopey kind of emo thing with spark and with kind of, but he's and sort of anti-Oedipus, you know? I don't know. It's like scared to fuck with the thing, but also fucking with it. Like, but definitely more than friends. But in the same breath, like, get away from. Like, I don't know. It's a tough one, and yet so simple. Like, in comparison to the others, potentially D-tier complicated. Old couple, young couple. I think we could do twatty teens together. We could potentially have run school together. And it's annoying meeting that late. But it would be so cliche. And yet, I think I'd still have punch. Which I'm always scared of losing. Can I call them right now? This is the only guy that's ever given me money. And that I've ever felt like I could call if I needed. Actually. But then whether it's truly consistent and whether it's good for me is another thing. But as selfish and annoying as it sounds, I really appreciate that he is the only person that's ever invested in me. Even if it's like, yeah, I invest in sex workers all the time or whatever. I'm not a sex worker, but I kind of need it presented that way in order to ask for help. So, you know, take it or leave it. Bit cunty on it sometimes with it. But this one I actually... Is it a brother-sister thing gone HBO? But then he's kind of done that before as well. Like a weird reflection. I'll get to it. Rate the connection out of 100, like an 89, but it's I'm always archiving his fucking messages, basically. First last interaction, I think I forced it, maybe. And then by the end it was like, he could never not be there, and yet in the same breath I picture him only ever being in this rendition of life, you know? Like, potentially a side plot, potentially he'd always have manifested in some way or another. Tricky. I don't know. I'm potentially the most question mark heavy with this one. What element is the relationship? This one does feel like I'm looking at a weird cosmic whirlpool reflection of myself in like a cave. And it's like warping. How surreal has liking them felt? Potentially too surreal to really touch cloth on feeling. I think I've been avoidant with it because this one is maybe a little La La Landy for me. A little too La La Land for me. Monogamy. I think as soon as this one cheats, we're just friends. With all of these complicated elements along for the ride. Can I do kids with them? No. But this is a guy that wants a lot of kids. I just don't think we'd be the ones having them together. Alright, next one. What colour are they? A yellow. For sure. My favourite thing about them, I put this one on such a pedestal. This one felt like I have known every single aspect of him since before I was born. This one was absolutely ridiculous to look at for the first time. This one was so weird. And yet that first interaction wasn't all that, and it only, like, it's the build on this one. Their secret weapon, you just could never get tired of looking at them. I would die a million times just to float around and watch this guy have small talk with other people. Completely addictive and just completely ridiculous. I was actually there when his dad got his mum pregnant. I was wiping his brow in the room with a watch, pacing him. Like, that's what looking at this guy felt like. It felt like if that's a clone of me that I'm recognizing in the space, like just pure, like a blood brother connection, then literally completely do I like, love, trust them? I haven't spoken to this one in person. I think I like them. I don't love them. There's something about love with that one that feels as shitty as love does feel. And do I trust them? Maybe not. But then for them to not be there every time would be a complete absurdity. It would be a complete absurdity. Do I find them attractive? I think they're insanely attractive. But then I've said that about other people before I've spoken to them. And then maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's this limerence. Maybe it's just in this kind of like a prequel. But then it never felt like I was overcompensating. And with other ones, it did. It felt like there was a spark, and then I forced it. And with this one, if anything, I underplayed it. Could I call them right now? Would they help if I needed it? I don't have their number. I don't have their contacts. I'm blocked. I don't think they'd help me if I needed it. And I like that. Old couple, young couple. I can see myself being one-on-one. Every person turns into a blank face upon seeing him with this guy again and again and again and again. I just feel I'm living in a kind of fractured reality where everything is asking me for attention more than it normally would. That makes sense. Feels like it's like a strange, like you're swirling in the ether. You're swirling around. There's not enough of a suction at the bottom of the vortex, you know? So I'm kind of a floater, and then every time I pass by, it's like everything disappears. Everything disappears. But to move towards something with that amount of oomph, terrifying, completely terrifying. Rate the connection out of 100, like 100. But totally scary, like entirely abysmal. Last interaction. The first one was just like, I looked at him, I heard my head saying, that's the one, and then instantly I was like, oh. Last interaction, oh. I think with this one I'm always in a comedy, which is nice. And yet it's so deep. It's like just so, and yet it's like mid-tier shallow. Like, it's just so there. And in the same breath, I'm like, he doesn't exist. Strange. What element is the relationship? I don't think it's like the Windows screen. I think with this one, I'm in torrential rain. And we're like, no, we're not under a tree. I think we're in torrential rain at the end of it all, pointing our fingers to us in that Windows kind of lock screen, going that. Maybe? But it doesn't feel like it's doing it justice. I just know with this one, I've had the most surreal kind of idea of us in alternate realities. That's my everything everywhere all at once guy. But there's something so scary about them, because to me their secret weapon is how transferable they feel. That one feels like you could input him into everyone's fucking fantasies. He's everyone's guy. He's everyone's Windows lock screen. And maybe everyone feels like they're standing in the torrential rain pointing at it. But with him, I can see myself in my safe space, peak performance kind of reality. And it's like nothing could ever touch us. It would be so singular. It would be completely monogamous. And yet here in this kind of rock bottom place, like everything that we are at the moment is exactly how we'd be. But it would be ridiculous for us to pass on each other in the end. I don't know. But I do kids with them. I'm not sure we would do kids, but I feel like we could. Old couple, young couple. Ooh. I feel like he was always at the table in school, like some kind of this one feels like a hologram. Some hologram of him has always been in the room with me. But I just don't trust that that's not a byproduct of my own fantasies about him. I don't trust that it's him kind of breaking in that hologram form and standing in the room looking at the space. I know I sound crazy now, but that's literally what that person feels like. And in the same breath, it feels like he's standing there with a knife, like. But maybe not a knife. Maybe like a floppy gun. Next one. What colour are they? Like a lilac, or like a really dark purple. The last three all went to the same uni, so it's interesting. I haven't had a lot of contact with any of them actually, but it does feel like a weird kind of lapse where I would have potentially gone to that university, and then all at once I was bombarded with like 3 idyllic options of something I would have entertained there. What is your favourite thing about them? Ooh. There is like a certain softness and yeah, like meatiness to the guy. Secret weapon. I feel like my issue with this one is I can picture exactly how we would be, and you wouldn't fuck with it. We would disappear for months at a time, and I'd be kind of emo gothy, but I would never full send that to like a dramatic place. We'd be completely clingy, and I'd know like 5 dictionaries worth of English literature or language terminology by the end, and it would be so kind of safe, cozy, and sensual. I can exactly, like 5 seconds into seeing the guy, it's like I'd come out of him. But there's a massive gap in that fantasy. Do you like, love, trust them? I like them. I don't love them, nor do I trust them. And they are very attractive. A clean yes. Old couple, young couple. I think we'd be a boring old couple, but not a bad one. Young couple, I don't think we would have dated in school. I think I would have been thoroughly too much. But at uni, I can weirdly see it so clearly. Could I call them right now? No. Maybe they would help me, but I don't know this guy at all, basically. Connection out of 100, like a 47. And then in La La Land, maybe like an 80. Last interaction. I did try and ask this guy out, but I repeated a maneuver that I did with the last one, so it kind of felt like a punishment for never really making it to where I wanted with the one before. It was like a proof to myself that it is all the same. You just repeat the moves, and surely it will somehow come to that same broken ending. What element is your relationship and how surreal has liking them felt? I think we're like in a lukewarm kind of bath with the bubbles dying out, and it's weirdly getting hotter, but it's because it's hot outside, but somehow chilly from a breeze that's inside. And we're always in like a children's fort set up in a maybe stoner's bedroom with kind of purpley lighting. Maybe monogamy. I think I'd only do monogamy with this person, and if we had kids, they'd be spoiled. Oh, actually, for the surreal kind of element, I also see like us on either end of like a Grand Canyon kind of a dip. That's the gap. Like a empty ravine, but not dry. It's not like the dryness, scariness of it. Like that's just like we're there for a second and back out of it. Alright, last one. What color are they? Maybe like a purpley slate grey. And like a flamey yellow-orange, like really flamey. Favorite thing about them, every time I talk to this person, it's addictive. It's like they're 5 steps ahead. I could very well be on their strings. You could tell me that I'm a character in a video game that this guy created and he's ran my entire set and I'd buy it. But not in a controlling way, like not in like a weird, creepy way. In like a truly, like if that was the case, I'd be happy about it. And in the same kind of, it feels like that's just what that guy is. you just feel like he would always be a couple of steps ahead. And then he could just have great conversational skills as well. It's a weird one, but it feels like the energy is so... I'm so liberated but not lost with him. And I do feel taken care of, but in a way that's scary. But I feel seen. I feel actually seen, and I feel nurtured, but for all the right kind of qualities that I already have. It's like he brings out the best bits of me. The secret weapon. Maybe like their god complex that they've earned. This is one where I would always be at their feet, I think. But in a funny way. Like, I wouldn't lose myself doing it. It'd be kind of funny, but it wouldn't be a joke. It'd be just right. And I kind of could see them really putting in the effort for me to feel that way too. Like, I have a hard time with submitting, and I think with this one it doesn't feel like I'm fighting for my life, maybe, even though I can be a bit of a brat with it too. Do I like, love, trust them? I'm not sure I like them, but I like that about them. I really love them. Like, I love them. Like, that's the definition of the word love. And I don't trust them, but also I trust them with me more than I do anyone else. It's like a sort of degree of ownership and the ability to kind of create not problems or chaos, but to move around in the relationship, where it's still safe, completely trusted, I don't know, trusting, but in the same kind of whirlpool. I always think, ooh, but maybe they make everyone feel like that. Old couple, young couple. I think I'm scared that I wouldn't be able to nail this guy in every fucking context. I'm insecure about my ability to nail this guy in every fucking context and in every fucking bracket, but I want it to be me. I want it to be just like that. Could I call them right now? Would they help me? I don't have the number saved, and currently I'm like spamming them with postcards. I don't think they would help me if I needed it, but I also think I'm catastrophizing the present a bit more than is necessary. Like, I'm not actually entirely off the rails, I'm just not at peak performance. But also, am I reliable? Would I go to them if they needed me? But there's something about running around and having that guy chase me in a way where I'm low-key chasing him that is as purely euphoric as it gets. Rate the connection. Both like a 50 and an 150 at once. First and last interaction. Funny first interaction. And I've only met them once. And I'll never forget it, I don't think. Even though it wasn't cookie cutter perfect. What element is your relationship? I do think with this one, I am in the Australian outback and I'm tied to a tree. With him there. But I also think that's a cop-out answer, and again, that's what he does to everyone. You know, we do monkey and banana, but then I think it hits like crack every time. That's banana, I'm monkey, and yeah, I can just see him computing that with everyone and nailing it every time. Maybe we're also like really, really high up, like the world's tallest tree, kind of passing a papaya back and forth and like spitting the seeds out at each other. I don't know. Monogamy. I feel like I would allow this person to do anything to me, and I weirdly don't think I would lose any self-respect for myself at the end. But then what does that make it, you know? I don't feel like I'm in the black pits of nothing. I could chuck plates, I could chuck phones, I could smash things with that person, and I'd still be rearing and ready to take more. But it's very kind of, can I do kids with them? I've imagined us having kids too many times, and it's always like perfect and exactly how I'd want it. But I also imagined this one and another guy, like two guys before, like together with me, like a weird kind of three-way, because it's weird that they don't even know each other and they went to the same uni. But no, I would have known this one in every reality as well. That's like one of those people you meet and you're like, I would always know you. Like, I would always know you. But in the same breath, it's like so scary if it's one-sided. I think that's, and I love irritating this person to the max. And I just pray every time that they're smiling at their phone and that they're not completely upset at me. But then if they're not annoyed that I'm not there, if they're not crying, screaming, throwing up blood, and I'm not in their arms, then what's the point? But there's just something about it with this one where it's like the tango would never stop, you know? And it wouldn't be a cliche one. Like, I don't know. Right. 50 minutes. Well, it's good to have gotten this out. I don't think anyone is going to watch all of these videos, but it's basically an hour and a half worth of talking, like a 2-hour podcast. So if anyone does watch it, cheers, man. Thank you for listening to me blabber on. And I still have cider left.